Good evening, everybody. Hell's Unicorn here once again, and I'm just going to be giving my thoughts on the advent of the no labels movement, something that I myself have only recently become aware of, although apparently it's been around for at least a day or two. So anyway, the gist of this movement is basically that it is a quote-unquote bipartisan movement that seeks to essentially take out all the pettiness of politics and to bring a little more intelligence to the scene. That wouldn't be much of an accomplishment considering that there is no intelligence in our current political discourse. Long story short, there is no logic in politics. I've said this many times. And unfortunately, it seems there is no logic at work here amongst the attendees of this so-called no labels group. We have Florida Governor Charlie Crist spew. We have California Lieutenant Governor Abel Maldonado, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, moderator Dylan Ratigan, and you've got other people involved like Joe Scarborough and other well-known media hacks, let's just put it that way. Let me just sum all of this up for you. This is a political movement for bipartisanship that is made up completely of wealthy, snobbish, stuck-up white men. Now, naturally, I'm not knocking on white men because I'm pretty white myself, and I'm not really particularly ashamed of it. But the fact of the matter is that with this particular crowd of white people, you essentially have those who have no idea whatsoever how real America actually works. They live in a bubble, a financial bubble as well as a cultural bubble, and essentially they see the world through the lens of Washington, D.C. politics. And I don't think they got the memo yet that the issue with the current discourse is not the fact that we have labels. The issue is that we have no substance. And we may start to get some substance as the discourse unfolds with the advent of the recent elections. And if you want my personal opinion about the actual nature of this no labels movement, it is nothing more than a movement of moderates and lefties. And these would be lefties that are more allegedly on the moderate side. Let me put this into a little bit of historical perspective for all of you. In the Weimar Republic in the 1920s, the political discourse was as follows. You had the political left, the Social Democrats, and you also had the fringe left and the communists. And you had the political right, or the nationalists, ergo those who were essentially members of the Bismarck administration who had since wanted to create a nationalistic Germany that was a little bit more stronger than the weak, limp-wristed Weimar Republic that had come about. In comes a spider, so to speak, in this case the National Socialist Party, a third-way party, a moderate party, a way of reconciling the conservatism of the nationalists with the liberalism and so-called enlightenment of the Social Democrats, and a true answer to the communist problem. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the National Socialist Party, contrary to public opinion, was not a fringe right or a fringe left party. It was a group of moderates. And much like the moderates of today here in America, they were liars, they were sneaky, slimy scum, and once they had gained absolute power, they turned into equally as tyrannical a bunch of bastards as the leftists and the rightists were. Long story short, unless there's liberty in the mixture, I'm not biting because I know where this is going to lead. And as far as I'm concerned, no labels is an act of ideological cowardice. Now, naturally, I've basically adopted as my own logo here the Demopublican Republicrat logo because I see no real substantive difference between the two parties. However, the last thing that I want to see in what this no labels movement is pushing is the actual merging of these two separate, though very much comparable entities. In essence, bipartisanship is where Washington, D.C. comes together to screw the rest of us. That is what these wealthy, white, stuck-up elites want for us, and we should want nothing like that for ourselves. I will assert right now to you, Mr. Bloomberg, Mr. Christ, Mr. Maldonado, Mr. Scarborough, and company, we don't need you, and we don't want you. So you can take your no labels and you can shove it up your white, snobbish, stuck-up asses. With prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.